Okay, good morning. Thank you for coming. Pretty difficult task following Todd.
Yeah, wow.
But we'll do our best.
We're starting a GoFundMe for our legal defense, so please contribute generously.
Don't take the piss out of the FBI. I think it's a lesson that Ian and I have learned.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
Wait, what's on our backs?
There we go. Yeah.
Total coincidence. Coincidental.
So we are the beer farmers. Thank you for coming. Anybody under the age of 18 in the room? I can see a couple of people.
Well done.
There might be a little bit of swearing in our talk, because that's what we do. And Andy's
Sorry, folks.
what Andy does. But we'll keep it in context. It'll be relevant, hopefully, to what we're doing. Okay. So I'm Mike. I run a security team at an ISP south of the border. John is Belgian and doesn't like Scotland. That's why he never turns up to any of our Scottish
He just doesn't like the UK
presentations. But he is a fellow member of the Bear Farm. Unfortunately, for travel reasons, he's not able to join us.
I write assertive emails that try not to offend special snowflakes for a living, so that's kind of what my role is.
Sean?
I'm Sean. I focus mainly on AppSec, which generally is shouting at devs. We're trying to work on that. I do hacking and shit. That's basically what I do.
Swearing.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, I've got a blue card.
Fast blue card? The blue darts, in fact.
Oh yeah, the greatest superhero ever.
Okay, so that's how you can get hold of us on Twitter, and that's our handle and website. Okay. So we did a bit of research in the studio last week, and we've actually definitively proven that we're all Scottish, so we'll explain. I was born in Edinburgh. My mother's Scottish-Italian. That's pretty fair. I'm Scottish.
Old Glaswegian.
That's still Scottish, though.
Yeah.
Sean, tell us the story.
Yeah, so my great-grandfather went to school with Sir James Barrie, who wrote Peter Pan. And that's where my family name comes from.
The only thing I have is that one time the family name was Little, and there's a Scottish clan called the Littles who didn't get invited to many battles for clearly obvious reasons.
1/6 Scottish, we think,
because they're little.
Yeah. You'd admit it's Scottish.
Yeah, Canadian Scottish.
And John has got some ginger hair in his beard.
Yeah, so we'll count that.
It qualifies, and his daughter's got ginger hair as well. That's great.
Unfortunate for her.
Okay. So we include Facebook in our talks quite a lot because they're egregious and they tend to do bad things with your personal data on a weekly, if not daily basis. So I like to qualify some of the things I say about Mark Zuckerberg, and so I do a bit of Googling. And that was a statement he came up with quite a long time ago, that privacy is the norm, the social norm of the past. And I think from his point of view, that's absolutely accurate. There's a current perception that Facebook is an evil organisation. People have very little or zero trust of that organisation to do the right things with your data. That they need regulation. I fully agree with this, and so does Mark Zuckerberg. In fact, he came out the other day and said that particularly the US, Facebook, government should do more to help regulate social media and large tech groups generally. Except he's unhappy paying the fine that he still owes the ICO. For the Cambridge Analytica breach. They're actually appealing that fine. So, his trust of governments is not.
Just to clarify that, Zuckerberg said he will support the government if they drop the fine.
Yeah. Coincidental.
You scratch my back.
So I want to point out something as a keen study of human beings. The face that you see there of Mr. Zuckerberg is not one filled with contrition.
He's super happy.
Yeah. I think that what this is the face of an individual that has now become being called to task for what the cavalier attitude towards privacy and the business model that he's made monetizing private stuff.
Yeah. So he's not sick of the way his business is behaving. He's actually sick of being caught.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Just a really shit criminal.
Yeah.
Who has deleted Facebook in a show of hands? Who's deleted Facebook as a consequence of perceived bad habit? Quite a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Great. Who's happy to continue using Facebook despite the fact that they are doing this kind of stuff? Show of hands.
Sure.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
Who trusts Facebook?
That's a different question. My threat level, I think, I I'm happy to live with, and I think most people in the room probably that continue to use it are happy with theirs. So a quick look at some of the numbers. 50 million in 2014 was Cambridge Analytica, so we all know about that. That's partly why these were inspired, not just the FBI, because the ICO raided Cambridge Analytica's offices a week after all the data was set on fire in a field. But yeah, 50 million accounts were manipulated and sent off to be used to target election campaigns and political activities.
And just on that note, there was about a 5-minute TED Talk that I posted and CC'd in the Beer Farmers. You can find it in our timeline. I found it very interesting that before this all went down, Facebook attempted to sue the journalists that were going to break the story of Cambridge Analytica in order to keep this all quiet. Yeah. So again, not exactly what I call contrition.
Agreed. More recently, last year, 29 million accounts were compromised due to authorization tokens being leaked. And that was to do with the way the apps that allow you to sign into them using your Facebook credentials weren't working properly. There was a bit of OAuth, so what's the term? OAuth merry-go-round or whatever it is. And that caused 29 million records to be leaked. Another nearly 7 million. And then more recently, 1.5 million records were breached. And also in the news, you may have heard that Facebook actively requested that your primary email account password be provided as part of authentication into their platform. Why? Okay, no idea. They admitted it. Bad practice, and so on and so forth. The bad practice continues.
And I think they messed up with that email because they sent the emails to someone or something.
Yeah. They fucked up. They fucked up. That's part of their business model.
But again, and going back to the narrative here, they didn't accept responsibility for it. They said it was a actual mistake, even though many in the security community pointed out that it's not really a mistake. Somebody somewhere set up a Jira ticket and developers actually worked on it. That's not really a mistake.
Agreed.
Mistaken identity.
Okay, so a hoodie for anybody who can shout out who this guy is. Who said that? You get a hoodie.
Yep.
Give that guy a hoodie.
All right.
Give that man.
We'll put it to one side. You can come get it.
I'm not allowed to throw things anymore.
Yeah.
Who's at BSides Leeds?
Yeah.
Even with a hoodie.
Yeah, it was.
Somebody lost an eye.
It was an handful.
It's got metal bits. Okay, so similarly, this is Jack Dorsey. He's the founder of Twitter, and he's gone off on a little bit of a hippie kind of weird thing. So his original idea here was I just want to build stuff that really simplifies our human interaction. Privacy can get lost, it can piss off. That's what these people think. This is how they operate. So 330 million Twitter accounts were lost in 2018. I don't know if anybody was aware of that. But again, it was to do with data being compromised because they weren't taking your security seriously. And if these guys can't get it right, then we're in trouble.
And actually, something to add to this is just as the Mueller report came out, they saw a 362% increase in bot activity associated with, the release of the Mueller report and starting rumors and trying to construct
misinformation
narratives. Yeah, complete misinformation campaign.
Absolutely right. And it's very easy to create sock puppet, call them what you like, fake accounts on Twitter. We see it quite regularly. It goes in phases, so I've seen probably this last week about 20 to 30 bot accounts trying to ask me out on a date.
Yeah,
cool.
It's because everyone wants to.
I've never been this popular. So I think the Paradise Lost kind of metaphor is around the idea of they start with these great intentions about how they're going to change people's lives for the better, and almost invariably it goes to shit for one reason or another because they get big, and then money becomes the primary motivator.
Money is the driving point behind everything. When money exists, privacy doesn't.
Yes. And what's your view on the?
Oh yeah. Free if the product's free, you're the product. It's the same. Like your data, they make money off it.
Exactly right. So this slide's been updated since the last couple of talks that we've done. We had it at around 21 billion known records kicking around that had been leaked. So that was considered to be 3 records per human on the planet. I spoke to Troy Hunt about that just to get his take because he's kind of an authority on data breaches. He thinks it's nearly 10 records per every single human living and breathing and walking on the planet. 77 billion. And I still think that's downplaying the number.
That's how much we know about.
Yeah, public breaches.
A good way to test this is if you're in a company, get someone to put in their email and have I been pawned. Almost guaranteed to pop up with some results.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. So who's heard of 63 Red? Show of hands. Okay,
This is going to be a good story then.
Not too many.
Yep.
They are a sort of right-wing American organisation.
Sort of right-wing.
Yeah. They are a right-wing, conservative US-based site. There we go. I said it. Trying to make America great again. What we do in our hoodies, we're making the blue hoodie great again.
That's right.
That's right.
It's black, but you use colour.
Yeah, it's slimming.
They're a Trump sympathising organisation, and they don't take too kindly to anybody that criticises them, particularly on Twitter. So that's who they are. Anyone heard of Elliot Alderson? Not the Mr. Robot of the show, but the security researcher. He's also known as Baptiste Robert. That's his real name.
F Society was his
F Society is his Twitter handle. A really good guy, really capable, really very active in finding out things that are wrong with organisations and trying to work with them. And he finds it really difficult, like a lot of us seem to do. 63, he found the vulnerability. 63 Red went a bit apeshit about it and started calling him names and things and threatening to report him to the FBI, or claiming they'd report him to the FBI, which was a completely futile exercise, even if it were true.
The FBI are good people, though.
Of course they're good people. Yeah, but the guy hadn't committed a crime. Okay?
Just to be clear, what he did, took the app off the App Store, publicly available, disassembled the app, again, no legal things around that as far as I know, and then just viewed the traffic to and from the sites, or the servers. So he wasn't doing anything malicious.
No. They messed up, but we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail in a few minutes, the Helm Gibbons. But the community kind of got stuck in, and I was included in that. So myself, Andrew Tierney, one of Andy's colleagues, it was Sunday morning, and we decided that we didn't have anything better to do other than to try and take this guy down. So that's what we went about doing. So Andy and I piled on. A few other people got involved. And then we did some research, because the guy was practicing quite bad OPSEC. He had a number of websites that he ran. He had a number of repos that he claimed contained his original copyright material, which we found to be old or empty. And then eventually we found out that he was a white supremacist. Okay, because we traced back some historical tweets where he was basically saying that there aren't enough opportunities for white men in America because of anybody that isn't a white man. And so that got outed. We prevailed, I think, as a group of people, and then I went to bed. And that was the end of that day.
Job done.
And the guy, he fell quite miserably. His name was I don't know how you pronounce it, Fallonor.
Yeah.
That
guy. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. I think he re-emerged. You took him down again.
He did, yes. He reared his ugly head and decided to be divisive in the community, and I stomped on that pretty hard.
And he never replied. So
nope.
He might have lost his lesson. Ian,
yeah,
your baby.
I love this. So what we've done, and this has actually been a teaching tool for a lot of businesses, because what we've come up with is a hurricane-like scale for the level of shitstorm that a company can get into when they mistreat researchers. We've seen this play out over and over again. It happens all the time. And with the best intentions of, in most cases, I'm going to say the security researchers are generally trying to identify a problem, a customer-facing problem, a security problem, and they get treated pretty horribly. When that happens, the community is sort of a little bit, I would say, defensive. And there's a overreaction. And I think what really came out of this scale was we see the pattern going over and over again. We know some basic rules, like having John McAfee talk about your product is probably not the best idea ever.
Have John McAfee talk full stops? No.
Yeah, really. Yeah, on his boat in an undisclosed location.
He features later, by the way.
Yes. But this has been now a good teaching instrument. When we start to see something go sideways, we'll post it into the thread stream, and kind of folks can understand exactly what's going to happen. And then we see the meme count going up. We know that from a cyber depression, a full-on cyber tropical shitstorm is about to impact the company. We've seen, I think, a lot of success in educating companies about how to approach and deal with security researchers. And I think I'm hopeful because the last couple ones that we've seen, we've managed to nip it in the bud and just kind of say, hey, they're not out to get you. They're not out to like hurt you. They're actually out there to fix things for your company and to make it better.
90% of the time. Sometimes we'll have balance. No days.
And just to further strengthen that, simply try to call them out. Forming legal threats doesn't make the issue go away. The issue's still there, and it just makes you look bad.
Yeah, and also like physically assaulting a security researcher at a conference that happened.
It's not a good look.
No, it's not.
And I think what it highlights, and it occurred to me during Todd's talk when somebody asked a question about researchers being afraid to reach out to the company in the first place for fear of being
accused.
Breaking the law.
Yeah.
But I think there's a kind of schism between the researcher that wants to do the right thing and how the company should be responding as well. So I think in a lot of the Helms Gibbons scenarios that we see, the company just flustered. They don't know what the hell to do about it. So the immediate reaction is a negative reaction because you're accusing me of something. So I'm going to backlash against that. So I think better education around how to respond. I don't mean responsible disclosure per se. I mean, how does a company gear itself up to get back to that researcher in a responsible way?
Well, there's how many of you have heard of responsible disclosure? Okay, quite a few. So responsible disclosure, for those who don't know, is when a researcher works with the company to go through the issue and not release any information about the issue until that issue has been fixed, or give them a suitable time period to do that. Everything is emphasis on the researcher. Where's the emphasis on the company to fulfill their part of it? Yeah. So I wrote a while ago, responsible disclosure, responsible accountability. Companies need to be equally accountable. Why is everything on the researcher? It shouldn't be that way. And also, bear in mind, the researcher is doing this many of them, off their own back, their own resources, their own time, their own equipment. So for a company, they don't have much to pay or anything at all. So it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. One thing that was really fascinating in Chrissy's talk up in Edinburgh at the NUSEC thing was that they're trying to develop international standards around disclosure to protect the researcher, and I'm fascinated by that. I think it can't come soon enough, but it has to be robust and it has to work properly.
I think one of the other factors too is, as a security kind of community analyst, for lack of a better word, the impatience that our profession instills in us, like that sense of urgency, that doesn't translate well to large enterprise organizations with a software development lifecycle and a project management cycle that is like months long.
Yeah.
Right?
But it also doesn't translate well to like the rest of the business. So like what me as a pen tester might think is a critical risk, ideally, realistically, if it's an internal system, it's not going to be a critical risk. Yeah. It's going to be what's an impact to the business and where the money is.
There's also the cost. It might cost them $20 million to fix it versus $10 million if they get breached of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Company's going to
their appetite for risk.
Okay. Are we cool with this?
Yeah.
Another one on Ian?
Okay. So
topical.
I'm going to go quickly through this because this is a really interesting scenario and bleeds into the area that I love to explore, which is the politics behind a lot of cyber breaches. So if you're familiar with Wipro, they're similar to the Tata Communications. They're an outsourced player, $8 billion in annual revenue. Brian Krebs broke an amazing story about how they basically, it was leaked that they were breached at a very sensitive time in the company, just before earnings. There was a small paragraph that I dug into around this because it seemed that prior to this leak occurring about how this company had been compromised, allegedly by APT-10 cloud hopper operatives, who target managed service providers and IT people. So the TTPs look like it's cloud hopper for now. Anyways, what was really interesting about this is that the Chinese and Pakistan had been working on a project in the Kashmir, and the default position of the Indian government is that anything that's good for Pakistan is bad by default for India. Prior to this hack, the Indian government forced $166 million US in shares and repatriated them to Indian companies, allegedly that the shares were illegally held by Pakistan investors and Chinese investors. So there is kind of this theory that I'm working with that suggests that this company was basically used to instill more patriotic fervor in the Indian government by repatriating these shares. Well, interestingly enough, the data leak happened just prior to an earnings call, and you guys are smart people, so you know that if a company's been breached, what does their share price do as soon as that announcement? It heads south, right? Exactly. So if you know, and you have friends that are holding shares in that company, and you know there's been a data breach, what do? Well, in America, you go to jail for something called insider trading. I'm not sure if that law actually applies in India, but you let your friends know that you're going to leak the fact that this company got data breached, so you can take that 166 million and what's called short the stock in order to make even more money. Okay? So this is my hypothesis. And the most interesting thing about this is what we're seeing is the monetization of the information about the company's posture during a data breach event. So it really worth exploring and understanding why stuff is occurring.
Yep. Thank you for that. Okay, anybody familiar with Collection 1?
2, 3, 4, 5.
And the rest? Andy, do you want to?
Yeah.
So, like, the collection dump, for those of you who don't know, is probably one of the biggest public breaches or kind of breach dumps there's been. Essentially, round about the start of the year and the last year, there was about 1 terabyte of personal details leaked on the internet. This was user details, user credentials, passwords, Bitcoin addresses, lots of stuff. And it's made available, but that's what's now contributed to bigger data breaches. And I think I was reading recently, Troy Hunt's gone through it, and with a fine-tooth comb, unique records is about 778 million, which is, I mean, it's a few. It's not quite a billion. Maybe we'll get to a billion at one point, but it's getting there. It's put the kind of the global average of breaches up by a factor of about a million-ish. And it's great for me as a pen tester because it gives me massive lists of passwords to crack. But as an individual, you're guaranteed at least one of your accounts is going to be on that. You're all security people. You probably have multiple email addresses. I'm a cool person 9999 from back in the 90s might be breached, but I'm not so cool 2000 might not be.
Yeah.
So,
but I think there was a lot of conjecture at the time about, well, should we really care? It's not new data. Well, you should care because it's old data that's now public. And if you're reusing any of these credentials, and that's the big problem.
The biggest problem is password reuse. So even if you've changed your account, most of your security aware said, I assume you change your password every 3 months, right? So I mean, you might not. If you're reusing your passwords, don't go and fucking change them. But yeah, they'll probably be in this list. The thing is as well, because it's such a big list, just because you change your password, your new password might be in the list. So don't use dictionary words, people. Use passphrases, big long passwords.
Or a password manager.
Or a password manager as well. There are lots available. Yeah, multi-factor authentication when you can. Alright, okay, yeah, shit. Okay. That's that.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, the problem is huge. And anybody recognise this? Show of hands. We like doing shows of hands because it lets us know you're still awake. Its information is beautiful. It's a website. Go and look at it. It's a really impactful way of showing your business or trying to get your head around the scope of this problem. And I guarantee that you'll find yourself in there. You will have an account in there, multiple accounts that have been breached.
Unless you've never been on the internet.
Unless you've never been on the internet, which, I don't think applies to anyone in this room. So, this is what we see. This goes back to our previous point around how businesses react. Ian makes a few good points. What we'd like to see versus what we generally see. What it does is it effectively repeats what we're talking about.
And this brings up a really point. You know how we talk about like user security awareness training or user security training?
Yeah.
We need like company security training, but the opposite. Right? Todd made some really great points about you're going to get breached. You should have a plan. Right?
It's
part of your plan is how to communicate.
Yeah.
That we have a situation, we're working through it.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time, but there doesn't seem to be educational resources available for companies, to the point where, we're focused on the user. Oh, don't click on links. Well, I click on links for a living all day long. That's what I do.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay, hi John. He surfaces from time to time, probably comes to the attention of Todd's colleagues, continues to be the attention of Todd's colleagues, I expect. But this is the hashtag unhackable, the idea that you can create a product and then sell it on the premise that it is completely invincible and impervious to attack. And we see it every single
100%
time.
secure.
And 100% of the time, it's proven to be wrong. And what we find is that it's a popular topic of research for pen test partners. No plug, by the way, other pen testing.
Unhackable doesn't mean a free pen test, but it just means don't be a dick, essentially.
But yeah,
But generally, you will get a free pen test if you do split it on Twitter.
If you're a dick about it, yeah.
because
Like this guy is.
as Ian pointed out, we're all pretty smart people, right? And we notice these things really quickly. And when somebody goes online in a very public forum and says, "Yeah, hi guys, we've got a new lock thing that's going to secure all your things," and it's by the way, it's unhackable.
We've got the best car alarm that'll secure all your cars.
Yeah.
Unhackable.
At best, you can expect a week to pass before it's been completely hacked and the world knows it's hacked. And
So Pandora got pwned inside of 10 minutes. The guy that works for Pentest Partners, who we call the API Jesus, he literally hacks APIs all day long, and he found an IDOR inside of 10 minutes in secure direct object reference, which should allow you to iterate through people's details and access their cars, unlock them, drive away.
Yeah.
Fast and easy, stealing.
You can still find the video on the BBC News.
Yeah. My blue car is featured pretty heavily.
you made a film about it,
Yeah.
And interesting to... Oh, okay. It's another
No,
slide.
go on, Phil.
No, Karen. Back to the next slide.
But Bitfy took it on the chin, and eventually they realised that it was probably a ludicrous statement to make, and somebody else had done our thing's unhackable. And Bitfy chipped in there saying that it's probably a bad idea from their own personal experience to say that anything is unhackable.
See, that's contrition. That's learning.
It's
right?
not
That's
self
progress.
It's not taking yourself too seriously. At time or after them taking themselves very, very seriously about it. But they were able to find fault in what they originally did. I had a public spat with the then CEO. They went through CEOs like every 2 or 3 days.
And marketing managers. We went through staff every 2 or 3 days.
Absolutely crazy.
Just don't push John McAfee as your product ambassador, and then you're fine.
But in the end, they gave Hackers Mental Health $10,000, which I can confirm that those guys received. So that was generous. Well, Sean, let's leave this one with you for a few minutes.
Warning, containment breach.
So there's a couple of things around this. We see many CAs being kind of in some forms intimidated by Let's Encrypt. I guess they view Let's Encrypt as a threat to them, which perhaps they are. So this one, it was actually John who posted something online, and it was something about EV certs. I can't remember exactly. And these guys basically jacked the thread and started putting their own things on there, as well as a list of the 10 reasons why you shouldn't use a Let's Encrypt cert. And I went through each one, and I looked at them, and I think every single one was false. Not to mention the very first, or the headline there, I pointed out to Let's Encrypt, and let's just say it followed its own course because of legal reasons. The story is Let's Encrypt's doing a fantastic job. They're the world's largest CA because they're doing something great. It's free, it's automated. They've changed the whole landscape of how we deal with certificates. And now a lot of these CAs are trying to have to play catch up and trying to push things like EV certs, which there's a lot of debate whether they're worth it or not, and I'll leave everyone to go make up their own minds. But at the end of the day, trying to sell something on false data or promises or whatever is just not the way to do business.
You're right. And I think if you look at the opening gambit there, where they reference British Airways, got it right this time.
Yeah.
Got it right.
Oh, yes.
I keep saying BT for some reason, I don't know why. But yeah, the 380,000 BA data compromise was credit card data, and it was nothing to do with transport layer security, it was to do with major card JavaScript poisoning. So,
Yeah, there was JavaScript totally behind the scenes, nothing at all was certs.
Yeah.
bullshit, all that.
Yeah.
End of story. So there are good guys out there. Heroes do exist. So there are companies out there that care and that are taking security seriously or trying to take security seriously. They have got things like robust security controls. They are doing regular penetration testing. They are engaging third-party companies to come in and help you out. We talked about responsible disclosure policies. they're doing some good stuff. So let's.
And this is where those companies are doing a great job. I think we should call them out more and publicize them more, because hopefully that will prove to other companies that doing the right thing is actually going to get you in a better limelight.
Yeah.
Right. So, for example, who here has heard of Equifax and knows about the Equifax breach? Who knows about Discuss and the Discuss breach? 2 hands. The big difference between those two, Equifax and the breach.
Okay.
Equifax, how not to handle with a breach. Sweep things under carpet, point blame, and that. Discuss, come out with a robust explanation of what happened, what they're doing going forward. It's quite clear to see how the two different things play out and how your reputation can get handled differently.
And one gets you called in front of the U.S. Congress, which doesn't seem a whole lot of fun, and then the other doesn't, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Peaks and troughs.
Yeah. So multi-factor authentication, we talk about this. So that's a picture of Ian from about
Last night.
Yeah, it is last night.
Cleans up well.
He's having a good shave. Multi-factor auth. Okay, so I think we all agree that you should use it. You think we should have more robust approaches to token based on that kind of stuff where possible. I disagree to an extent with that because I think it's less accessible for the masses. Okay. For technical people, I think it's
the trade-off between usability and security.
Yeah.
But I think where we are is the
And
demand and
manageability.
supply. As we increase demand for hardware tokens, they'll reduce the cost significantly.
But I'm not going to roll out 20,000 Authy devices or YubiKeys to my business because it's just a management nightmare. But if SMS two-factor auth is available, then it's better than not having
Anything at all.
But then you're going
Better
to
than nothing, but less than ideal, and then you get peaks.
Okay, so responsible disclosure, we've talked about it, so we can quickly skip it really, I think. But do the right things. Is anybody familiar with the security.text scheme? Show of hands. So it's a web application scheme it's not quite a standard yet, but it's on its way, where you just drop...
It's got an RFC standard.
Right, so it's out.
Yeah.
You just drop a text file on your web applications, and that tells a researcher how to contact your organisation responsibly if they find a bug. It's simple. You can write an outbound rule that just drops it onto every...
For anybody who's not aware, it's .well-known/security.txt. So it's in the root of most companies. Some people put it in the root for some reason.
Yeah, I know.
And if you're like, you've got something and, you're worried or have questions, like that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Anyone that's in this industry, like reach out to any of the beer farmers and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
You might be going to a CERT team somewhere. You might be, talking to the public relations people at a particular company. But we're here to help.
Yeah, definitely.
We're here for you.
Yeah, we're here for
We
you.
are here for you.
We're here for you.
Sounds like some work.
Yeah, it's in the back.
Okay, so as a business, you've got to be doing pen testing. So we're not just talking about pen testing your web applications or your infrastructure or your network. We're talking about pen testing your people, your building, your processes, everything. Okay, because they're attack surfaces in their own right.
Full stack security.
Yeah, absolutely right. Don't be afraid to get a third party company to come in and tell you where you're not doing the right things or tell you how you can do things better because they're specialists.
Sometimes it's actually for compliance reasons and auditability. You have to.
100%. And the nice thing though is that then you have like a baseline to work from and a document that will help you build business cases for the things you need to fix.
Yeah.
The problem is your second pen test, right? It's never the first one because the first one will be a completely demoralizing experience.
Yeah.
The second one is like, oh, have we moved the bar anywhere? Have we actually gotten better? And from a compliance perspective, it makes a really great story for your business to tell. Listen, we had no security awareness training program. We implemented one. Good, improvement. Yeah. Show that improvement over time.
It's good to show back to business as well because it outlines where your money's getting spent.
Well,
security is an enabler rather than...
Yeah.
You demonstrate a return on investment, right? So bake security and have those conversations really upstream when you're talking about an idea. Well, we want to do a new thing as a business, right? Okay, what are the security? What are the data protection considerations? Getting on the ground floor with this. This all too often isn't what happens. Okay. So
5 minutes.
Right. Okay. Cool. So quickly, Sean mentioned Horizon Pwn. Have a look at that website. Put your email address in, and you're more than likely to get a hit.
And just quickly, if you don't own, if you're in the domain, put in your domain, it will automatically notify you with emails.
And just another thing, you can get like the top 5,000 like worst passwords and blacklist them in your organization through an Active Directory add-on.
Yeah.
And that means that no one can actually use like the name of your company as the password.
Yeah, absolutely right. Okay, so a breach is a when and not an if. So I think accept that. We talked about it earlier. Get your plan in order, because when it happens, it's going to probably feel a little bit like this. But a company that knows what to do will be able to untangle all of that stuff and get to a point where they follow an incident response plan, a well-defined incident response plan. Okay, so don't lose your shit, don't lose your head. It's happened. Get on with it. Start bringing into play the people that are going to help put things right.
There's lots of free resources on the NCSC website and Cyber Business. It's the Administration for Small Business in the U.S. Has a great website with a thing that you literally start answering questions and it builds your whole plan.
Yeah.
I've used it myself. It's great. It's a great tool.
Yeah. And as Todd says, reach out to your CERT, your local CERT. They're there to help you, okay? And you shouldn't be afraid of it.
And
sorry, Sean. Yeah, sorry.
As long as you're not doing something really, something that you shouldn't be doing, something, I don't want to say stupid, but if you handle it really well, such as in this guy's case, you might even come away a little bit better than pre-breach, because it shows you're mature, you're willing to take on responsibility.
You're taking it on the chin.
Yeah.
You're going to feel better about yourself as a business.
We're human, we all make mistakes.
Your customers are going to feel better too. Discord, TimeHop, another great example. So Hydro, yeah, they did a good job. They're in an ongoing incident still, but they've done a really good job of communicating what's going on, setting up side channels. Again, Todd mentioned about out-of-band communication. When everything's been pwned, you've got to do something else. I think they set up they did a Facebook com, and they set up an Azure website. Anyone know what one of these is? No one's. It's a cock ring, right? Okay, so.
Don't ask me how.
They got found out. Again, it was a pen test partner's beauty.
Well, it was Ken Monroe.
Yeah, it was a side project, a weekend hobby job. They are excellent resolution on the cameras, by the way.
That's from Scott Helms. He bought one. That's a shot too.
Okay, for people in the community, I'm just rushing through this because we're running out of time now. But connect with the community. So know your stuff, and it's very easy to make comments on social media like Twitter, and then very quickly fall out your depth. I think that can happen, and it happens to all of us. Okay, so you don't have to be a 30-year tech person like me. Ian's been around a long time. You guys are well experienced.
I'm just a youngin'.
We all fuck up.
Yep.
But it happens. Respect that others know their stuff and often know more than you about certain subjects. Engage and share with the community. So that little one article that you found useful, just share it, because it might be a nugget of value to somebody else, something really simple.
Just don't become a serial retweeter, don't become an influencer, all that bullshit.
Don't do that because you become a thought leader.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens there. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming. So, we've been the Bear Farmers.
We don't get the awards. So
What?
We don't get awards, no. I always do. Oh, fuck that.
What?
The Beer Farmer Awards.
Oh, we've done that. Was January.
That was,
We finished that.
You should come to the meetings.
Thanks for
Oh, yeah.